The Final First Battle Pack's release in the year 2020 was genius, though not for the reasons you may suspect. You know, watching our All-Star 100 video in 2019 talking about how he cracked the code on the release date of the Final First Battle Pack being in 2020 makes you wonder, why? Why did LEGO plan ahead, if that's even what happened? In his video, he looks at the different UCS Star Destroyers, Tantive 4 builds, and minifigures. Doing some math with those, he found out the Final First Battle Pack was set to release in 2020. And wouldn't you know it, a year after that video came out in 2020, that's exactly what happened. You may wonder how the Star Destroyer and the Tantive 4 are related to all this, but he explains that away, talking about the minifigures in different sets and the set release date of Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 7 in 2020. Honestly, after this, you should just go and check out his video, it's pretty interesting. Basically, the first set in this equation, the UCS Rebel Blockade Runner or Tantive 4, released in the year 2001. Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, the first piece of Star Wars media with 5 first clones, released in 2005, 4 years later. Now, how would that make sense? In our All-Star 100 celebration video of the Final First Battle Pack release, he mentioned this.
So, to all you people in the comment section saying, oh, the 501st didn't come out in 2005, and shut up, man, are you kidding me? Are you gonna sit there and tell me that they did not know? The LEGO group talked to George, they were in cahoots, they knew exactly what they were doing from the very beginning. Alright, cut the crap, wake up, you know, I'm right, alright? Jeez.
Now you may just be thinking, yeah, sure, that's what happened. They totally didn't just make it because people wanted it. Well, I'm here to say that they did know. They knew what they were doing back in 2001. They didn't just make this because people wanted it. Although I'm sure that pushed them to do it that much more. Now, I want you to think about this. You know how the original Star Wars heavily appealed to kids and its sword and toy sales because of it? Well, by the time the prequel trilogy released in 1999, Star Wars knew this, and so did LEGO. With the release of Star Wars The Phantom Menace in 1999, LEGO started up a small little theme, you may have heard of it. Oh yeah, it's LEGO Star Wars, that's right. Now, around this time, LEGO was actually going bankrupt, and LEGO knew they needed to partner with other brands to reel people in. Though they also realized that they would need to secure themselves and make sure that they would never get that close to bankruptcy again, and to do this, they had to play the long game. Think about how we barely ever got any prequel UCS sets for the first 20 years of the sub-theme's existence. We're only starting to get them more frequently since the UCS gunship in 2021. That's because LEGO knew and knows how prequel UCS sets wouldn't sell then and how they will now. The people who grew up with the prequels are now at the age where they're able to spend hundreds of dollars on a new UCS set. That's why they barely made any until now. But what if I told you it was the same for the Final First Battle Pack? You see, LEGO made another UCS prequel set not too long after the release of the UCS gunship. With the fans who voted growing up with the prequels and now in their 20s, LEGO was willing to make another UCS prequel set. Let's take a look at the release of Star Wars Revenge of the Sith again, 2005. Now, a lot of people who watched the original Star Wars in theaters for the first time were about 10 years old, give or take.
There's no denying that this film was groundbreaking for its time. My dad was 10 when this came out. And he said the shot when the Tantive 4 and the Star Destroyer glide across the top of the screen was the most amazing movie experience back in the day. There was nothing like it then. It blew people away.
This is how it soared in toy sales. With Star Wars Episode 3 releasing in 2005, LEGO knew kids watching would be around 10 as well, or based on the movie's rating, 13. Though if this whole thing began in the late 90s to the early 2000s, I assume the rating for the movie wouldn't be decided yet. Anyway, LEGO knew that they would have to wait until the fans were in their 20s to get them to spend more. This wouldn't just be your run-of-the-mill toy sales from a big movie. This would be major toy sales from the biggest hook of them all: nostalgia. If the kids watching in 2005 were around 10 years old, LEGO would have to wait about 15 years until their mid-20s where they would most likely be able to spend more. And what's 2005 plus 15? 2020, the year the 501st Battle Pack released. And we can prove this too, looking at some LEGO YouTubers' ages, the ones I could actually find ages for, and I knew about the 501st Battle Pack. What do we see as their age in 2020, the year the 501st Battle Pack released? Yup, mid-20s. Yeah, taking a trip to goodoldfamousbirthdays.com and Twitter, we can find the ages of a couple LEGO YouTubers. I know this isn't a very big data set, but come on, this is all I got here. Solid Brick Studios, 23, Just Too Good, 22, M&R Productions, 23. Only 2 and 3 years away from dead center, mid-20s, 15 years later. This isn't just a coincidence. From the very beginning, LEGO planned this to be the best-selling LEGO set of all time, cementing themselves as one of the most popular toy brands in history. And you know what else they did the same year the 501st Battle Pack released? They launched the beginning of the adult LEGO sets, cementing themselves as one of the most well-known and beloved brands in history, period. But hey, that's just a theory. A LEGO theory. Thanks for watching.